you'll be on the right one.
There's a mute,
But
Don't go anywhere.
your Zoom account that you're using,
put you online.
Riverbend one.
There's also a
The only
little
way you can actually stream.
camera that would
So
put you.
yesterday when you were at the LWDA meeting, you were showing up as Riverbend, not
See it?
Jack Kelly.
Yeah, I know, but the thing was,
You've got a full.
that is,
you've got a
anyways,
full-
we're live.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
They're
Yeah,
good.
you were showing up as Riverbend.
Okay, apparently we are now live
But the
on,
thing was,
we're live.
yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Hang on. Your camera on.
You were showing up as Riverbend.
Okay, apparently we are now live on.
Okay.
Okay. I guess, do we have everyone that's supposed to be here? And we're
Just
live?
waiting on Tom.
Okay.
Did Charlie check in yet?
Charlie's there.
Yeah.
We're still on the Lansdowne Woods.
We're still in Lansdowne Woods.
No, you're not. You're good.
Okay.
I thought I stopped the Lansdowne Woods stream.
Huh. All right. So this is
I just got a call from Tom Black. He's having trouble getting the software to work.
Brian just went up to see if he can help him. Well, I'm gonna go get another cup of coffee. I can't outwait you guys.
Thanks, Jerry.
I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Does anybody?
No.
Tom Black. He's here.
Yeah, that's everybody, but James is off. He's helping me.
Oh, okay, he's off. I see that.
He's in the lobby helping me.
Okay.
Gotta get a nice picture of them.
I don't either. That ain't gonna work, is it?
Okay, so.
Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
You can't see me though, right?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's good. All right, thanks. I was on the wrong channel. All right. Everybody ready? Everybody ready? Everybody ready? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I
Yes.
hear you, Tom.
We hear
All
you.
right, let's call this, let's call this meeting to order. Go through the agenda. Anybody got anything to add or subtract to it? Anybody got anything to add or subtract?
It's Bill Johnson. I don't.
All right, then the minutes from the last meeting, April 2nd. Anybody got any corrections or anything on that?
No.
Okay, then let's go on to the first one, engineers report. Yeah, engineers report, page 4.
Brian has an updated report. The one that was submitted last week was a placeholder for April. He
Right.
seems to have stepped away. Give me a second, I'll pull that up.
Well, he should be coming back down because he was up here.
Easier, give him a moment.
Yeah, he was up here to take care of what I couldn't get. I was on the wrong thing. You gave me the wrong thing, Faith. I was over on YouTube and I couldn't get anybody. I see everybody, but I couldn't get anybody.
We wanted
over
to
on
do that to you, Tom.
I know, you got me confused here. I got 2 machines going and I guess can't keep up what's going on. Anyway,
Ready for my report?
Brian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Tom?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I'm just going to be brief. As you know, the window washing was canceled because of the COVID-19 activities restrictions. On the 17th, Habtech and CMC and Riverbend Management and Engineering received training on the operation of the Aon equipment on the rooftop unit. Took us through the computer and took us through the air handler and the cooling unit, and kind of showed us through everything. Fidelity performed the annual preventive maintenance on the emergency generator, replaced the batteries, all the hoses, all the belts, all the coolant. And we've been, as far as the in-unit service tickets, we've just been doing kind of emergencies right now, trying to expose ourselves less to the building and just
Right.
taking care of things like that. To be on the safe side for now. If you've got a ticket and you're wondering where we're at, so kind of prioritizing everything. So, and so are there any questions with anything?
Can you tell us anything about Crop Metcalf and the termites?
Yeah, I've got it on here. I didn't know if yeah, they came out on the 4th, and for unit 101 had termites in the bedroom wall. It's between unit 101 and 102. They came out and treated that as per the proposal locally. They treated it locally inside inside unit 101 by drilling holes in the wall and spraying what do you call that? Termicide and foam into the wall, and dug a trench outside the unit in the grass area along the retaining wall, and treated that area also. And we'll see what happens with that.
Brian, I think they were gonna propose, Jerry Bloomberg, I think they had proposed to do the whole perimeter of the building around outside. Is that necessary?
We got 2 proposals for that and 1 proposal to do it locally within the unit.
Correct.
And so I don't know which is the correct one, but the one that they performed was the one that was chosen. So
Hey, Brian, you need to up the volume on your mic.
what's that?
You need to raise the volume on your mic.
Okay.
Also, everybody, the proposal that was elected was through Crop Metcalf. It was for $1,500 as opposed to $10,000. There is a full 1-year warranty on the treatment that they provided. And then as we go into our budget season, we can look at inserting their full building perimeter treatment in the budget process. We can certainly talk about it. But what we had done based on Crop Metcalf's scope of work is guaranteed for a year.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else?
Charlie, I can see you talking, but we can't hear you. You need to maybe unmute yourself or turn up your microphone.
Who's this?
Ah,
She's talking to Charlie Nelson.
Charlie Nelson.
Oh. Anyway, can you hear me? This is Tom.
Yes.
Yes, Tom, we can hear you just fine, sir.
Okay, I've lost all pictures of everybody. All I got is one. So, anyway, I guess the next thing is gonna be the manager's report about the
Towards you, computer setting microphone. picked it
All
up.
right. Management report included the corridor HVAC replacement. The financial breakout, I actually included the supplemental data from CMC's AIA approved payment application. And I just took that, I didn't reinvent the wheel. I just took those figures and listed them right down in a line. So as of April 28th, so far, we have $488,304.78 just into the CMC side. The engineering portion, at this point, we still have to reconcile those invoices, but we're looking at about 15,000, maybe 20,000, but we'll reconcile those. And then, of course, EMS was an additional $23,310. So our total investment at this point for our new HVAC system for the corridors is $526,614.78.
That's very good. That's close to what I had. I had 534. So it's
Very-
close.
Yeah, good. So, oh, good. We got some money. Let's go spend something.
No, works
We'll
out,
put it in
works
the
out
sound
pretty good. Yeah, I think I might have added something twice. I don't know, but it comes out pretty close to what I think.
Yeah.
Thought it should have been. And it's under budget anyway,
That's right. Yep.
so that's good. All right,
Thank you.
then you go to the elevator, I guess.
Yes, sir. VDA submitted their evaluation on the elevators, and it was attached with the in the management report section of the big binder that was sent out. The maintenance items noted have already been submitted to Schindler. Brian has been in communication with Schindler's administrative office, who is waiting on their field tech and their coordinating schedules, of course, with, social distancing and working, but not working together is kind of holding that up a little bit. But they have been out to the property. The mechanic has taken the list for all 3 cabs, and he's going to submit his paperwork, and we'll get that wrapped up within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Then we have transfer. I'm sorry. Are there any questions?
Okay, can you guys see me?
Yes.
Now
Wow.
we can. I know, right?
Because I don't see anybody. And I'm thinking, boy, I'm wiggling
Maybe
around in this chair.
Maybe your camera's off. Maybe your camera's off.
Oh, okay. Well, I was jumping around here. I'm thinking, if they could see me, I'm jumping around. All right, go ahead.
Transfers from reserves to operating. We were working with both Bert and the board president and Ruth, our board treasurer, to have the most recent, which you got a copy of, the most recent AIAI approved application in the amount of $60,283.59. That transaction is in process. The check has not been cut because that check is going to be a final payment, final contract payment. But we've got the punch list scheduled for, I believe it's 1:30 this afternoon. So we're going to be walking with the engineers, TRC, CMC Mechanical, and I'm not sure if Havtech's coming or not, but that's going to take place later this afternoon. Once we get done with the final punch list, then we'll release those funds for actual check cutting. Debbie did get it set up in Yardi for us, so there's no chance we're going to forget it or lose it or anything. So we're good there. Were there any questions on that?
No, I don't think so. Anybody else?
Okay. Audit reconciliation. The Budget and Finance Committee Chair, Shirley Almack, finalized the reconciliation of the Gold Claim Group and the Barkin Management 2019 financials. The spreadsheet was attached for your review so that you could see just really how good of a position we are. We got an unqualified audit. That means everything, all of the processes that the board and management did throughout 2019 was very good and easily traceable and no red flags. So good job on everybody. Thank you for that. Are there any questions on that section?
Oh, it looked pretty good. I went through the whole thing. It looks good.
Good. Thank you. And I'll pass that on to Shirley. I know she'll appreciate it because she worked really hard on it. Last but not least that I have on my management report. First of all, Brian, thank you so much for talking about the termites and getting that reported out there. Our next actual in-unit issue is about the noise concerns at Unit 119. And I am reaching out to all of you with your expertise to help us with this. We've been going, this homeowner has been suffering this issue for 5 years. And it's a married couple in a unit. They both hear the noise. And what the noise is when cars are driving over the drain grates at both the upper and lower garage, you can hear them as plain as day inside that unit. What's odd to me is that the upper level garage is actually louder and sounds like bowling balls. And these are not things that I'm taking for granted from the homeowner. I heard her report and then I went and listened for myself. I heard exactly what she heard. We engaged James to drive across the grates for us for the first test. Once we did the first test, we then as a team ordered some black rubber insulation that we were hoping that we could put around the drain grates to buffer the noise as they move back and forth, as cars roll over them and they move back and forth. But that hasn't helped. The grates move around a lot more now. When I walk by, there's always one that's up or crooked. And the homeowner has reported as recently as this week that she's still hearing the noise. And she's really appreciative of the fact that we found it and the fact that we've tried something, but she's really at her wits' end because it's not working. So we need your help, or we need an engineer to come out and assess this issue. If I could get you guys to agree to, let's see, I think it's about $1,000 is what I was asking, so that I could get an engineer. My preferred engineer is Kirby McClary of Walker Consultants. I've worked with this specific engineer since 2010 and on many buildings, and he's always done a good job. He solved a lot of problems. Some problems he just couldn't solve within the association's financials, but he's solved some in-unit things with piping. He's resolved some fire protection system issues for us. He's determined some concrete slab repairs. So he may very well be a good candidate for helping me with this drain grate issue.
Faith,
Unless you guys have a suggestion.
can I?
Is this
say
both
something?
upper and lower garage?
Yes, sir.
Because I know I see you where you wrote, but everything, but because I look out the window, I can see her unit, from my unit, I can see her porch. And I'm looking, how can she hear the one way over on the other
You know,
side?
I know we all said the same thing, but when James drove over the upper level garage, it sounded like bowling balls. Not the
I know.
huge 10 pins, but it did sound like the duck pin type of bowling ball. And it was pretty clear that tires were going across that grate.
Wow, that's way far. That's further away than anything.
I know. I hear you.
Faith,
Yeah.
can I also say that I've got pictures of the trench drain, and the edge of the trench drain it's a metal edge. It's like a L-shaped steel that the metal grates sit on. That's
Right.
rusting out, and the concrete is falling at both locations. So that's something else that they would have to look at. Pretty
Yeah,
good
if they're
amount
not
of-
fit,
pretty good amount of rust and concrete's falling in both the areas.
yeah, if they're not fitting in properly, you're going to get noise regardless.
Debbie, you had a question?
I do. Can the host let James back in?
Oh, I'm in. I just have my camera.
I hear a noise.
James, you want to turn your camera on, or you like being?
Anonymous.
Incognito.
Mostly I'm just observing this meeting, so.
Okay.
Okay, Bert, sorry, you were next. What were your thoughts?
Where'd Tom go?
You didn't see me? There.
We see you.
Oh, let
All right,
Shirley
all right.
back in, please.
I can see everybody now.
I don't see Tom.
Hey, I see you.
Okay. Well, I don't see you. Oh, I see
I
you now.
see Debbie.
Do you have two devices going, Tom?
Well, I got,
Go on with your meeting.
I see you, Tom.
I got everybody now. For some reason, it's working.
I'm in.
All right. Are you getting an echo for mine?
Yes, you have two audio connections up, two mics running. That's what gives you the echo.
I got two what?
2 mics.
I just muted it.
Okay,
Thank you.
should be all right now.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Hey,
all right,
Tom has,
all right.
he has two
Tom.
devices going. He's entered twice.
hello?
Oh,
I just
I see
wanted,
y'all.
yeah, I just wanted to say that Unit 119, it's not a new problem. It's been like that from the previous owners had the same problem with the
5
noise,
years. Yeah,
with the noise grate. So just
Ah.
add that in too.
I got you.
Can I ask
So
a question?
it's been going on longer than 5 years is what you're saying, Brian?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Can I ask a question? Is it feasible to replace the grating with something that wouldn't make that noise?
You know, we were talking about that. If they make a real hard fiberglass, maybe. I don't know. Maybe somebody that knows something about it,
Yeah,
those drains
Well,
can give us a.
I trust your judgment.
I'd have to. I looked online for something like that, but I didn't find anything satisfied what I was looking for.
I think we ought to bring an engineer in.
Yeah, I do too. But mainly because of the concrete spalling and the rusted grate framing.
That apartment sits right over the driveway into the loading dock and has been complained about since the building opened.
The other buildings are much tighter. There's a lot of play in the ones that, besides the rusting and the concrete failing, there's a lot of play in them. And that was probably a beginning design, and the other buildings found that to be a problem, so they solved it by making the grates tighter. So that's maybe what we have to end up doing.
And you can't be too tight because they have to be able to be pulled out so we can clean the drains. So
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
the upper drain is in the area. I talked to Charlie. It's in the area where the tension cables are for that garage, where they terminate the concrete tension cables.
So we have to be
right there.
We have to be careful.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah.
this is Bill Johnson. Could we get a picture of the drains in question? Could you send that to the committee to look at?
Sure. Yeah.
There is a company, I think, that makes customized membranes that work with linear, what they call interceptors, or I think this is a rectangular device, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, I found a company that makes a customized gasket that works with that. If I knew the dimensions, I could send that to you.
That would be great. Yes. Okay.
But I agree with Bert that probably the resolution on this, because you've got other problems with that grate, is to get an engineer to look at it. You've had luck with these people.
Yeah. And I would like to try to see if we can get your gasket idea implemented sooner rather than later while we're going through the engineering process, because that might take longer for repair.
I'll take a look before the week's out and see if I can find the company that made it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
We need
Let's
to,
go to the-
anybody want to make a motion to go ahead with the engineer, or shall we just wait?
I
Well,
think we just,
it's within my spending authority. What I would kind of like maybe to get captured in the minutes is that the Building Facilities Committee does recommend management's request of being granted $1,000 for engineering services specifically for this drain grate.
So moved.
Seconded?
that's a good idea. Just put it in the minutes and it'll be fine.
Okay, and we'll carry this on then to the Budget and Finance Committee for their recommendation, and then we'll put both recommendations onto the board agenda. So Bert, you're gonna see this again.
Well, I would just go ahead and give them the money.
Thanks, Tom.
I kind of agree with that. I think we should just make it happen. It's not a lot of money. And then we can report what the results were and so forth.
Yeah, I
Thank
agree.
you. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I'm gonna get it done.
All right, that's all for your manager's report?
Yes, sir.
All right, how about, old business, what we got here? Page 13. Well, I guess it has to do with the ESSI or whatever their name is.
Sorry,
ESS,
it actually starts on 12. Oh, 615.
I think Bill had some questions on this.
and they've all been answered. I think we have copious information in there. I would like to make a motion that we approve the resolution worksheet to go forward with the cable installation.
Sorry, guys, that's page 11,
Yeah,
not 13.
right.
Second that.
We beat this to death, and I have, and we got a lot of good answers on it, and I'm satisfied with the SSI. I make a motion that we approve the resolution worksheet.
Second that
I'll
motion.
second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Take care of that. Okay. New business. Page 36, I guess.
What page?
36.
6.
This is Bill Johnson. I had asked that this be put on the committee's agenda because it affected the architectural design review, which was prepared by the committee that oversees the
Covenants Committee.
Covenants Committee is what I was trying to think of. Yes, Covenants Committee has recommended this, and they have prior authority as the premier committee that changes the procedures. It's not up to the building committee to amend this or anything. It's just a matter of information. I thought the Building and Facilities Committee should be cognizant of the changes that are being made on when any resident makes a change in the physical construction or the design of his or her apartment. This is the guidelines, not guidelines, these are the laws that they are to follow and the procedures they're to follow. If a new resident comes in and they make any changes in an apartment, they have to do this in accord with these procedures. So it was only for the information of the building committee that I asked to have this included. And unless anybody has any questions on it, it is a good idea to read through it so you're aware of for your personal information. Or if any questions get raised about why do I have to do this, you should know what the rules are.
And as a dovetail to that, it's my recommendation that before this gets put, go to print, that we pass it before the association's attorney, just to make sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. So if we do end up having to go fight and enforce this in court, at least the attorneys that we're hiring to defend us will have had a look and have, dotted the I's, crossed the T's.
I
So
think,
there's a little bit of funding involved in this.
I think it is a good idea for the attorneys to look it over. There's several pages in there. I think it is a good idea.
I agree with Ken.
However, if you're just remodeling and not, you're retiling, reflooring, not changing anything, but just cosmetic, does that need to be approved?
If you're changing like with like, your faucet is leaking in your bathroom. You are having a plumber come in to replace a faucet with a faucet. That does not need approval because you're not changing, you're replacing failed component with like.
But it would
Right.
need one of those approval sheets to be turned in.
The short form.
Faith,
Well, we're having a bathroom redone. So they're gonna take out the shower and put in a new one. They're gonna take off the tile and put on new tile, take up the floor, put on a new tile floor. But it's all replacement with new stuff. New sinks. Do I need to fill out forms or something for that?
Yes, you do.
Okay, and those are available now?
Yes, they
We're
are.
working on them now.
Oh, okay.
In other words, you have to have, you change out carpet, you got carpet from carpet. You don't have to have that.
you're supposed to notify the management office, and then on page 35, you can look at the cheat sheet,
Okay,
and it's on number 3. If it's like for like, the covenants can give the management office authority to okay those.
okay.
The others, I chair the governance committee. The other point is, if anything else, you're gonna like change your carpet for carpet. You end up having to notify the management office that you're having carpet installers come in. So you are notifying, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do it. It's just, it's helpful to have things notified so that they know what's happening.
Is it only the major items that needs approval from the covenants committee?
I would say there's that we were trying to go in is this, for example, you change your, take out your bathtub, make it a shower, take your shower out, make it a storage space. That's a structural change that should be approved by the covenants committee.
Now, the covenants committee, they meet every other month, Jack?
We meet every other month or as needed.
Okay, that was my next question, because if somebody wanted to have something done and need it done, they wouldn't have to meet maybe almost, 2 months based upon the time.
No, we had a resident or person who wished to buy a unit who was under the age range, and we approved that basically within a couple of days, because the sales, otherwise it would have held up the sale. But
Okay.
we meet when needed to meet, when we need to meet.
Very good.
And I would like the lawyer to take a look at it too, and this needs to be approved by the board.
That's where it was headed.
Okay,
We make the
so
motion to forward this to the association's attorney for review. That's my motion.
Second,
I second that motion.
okay. And- Oops.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Okay. Next thing is.
So
the-
next be on page 60, because it looks like I'm 2 pages off on my agenda count, and I apologize.
Oh, the BDA.
Yeah, the VDA is for discussion only. If you had any further questions, or if you agree with the way that they presented the report.
Well, I think what we're looking for is 2 things. You need to have safety first and get all the stuff that needs to be done right away. Second thing is you need to make sure that we have the money in the budget to do it.
Tom, this is
Yeah.
Bill Johnson. We had a task force meeting yesterday. I think you got a notice on it. It was done by Zoom. And Carol Meals is now the task force leader to pull together the actions for the next step. The remedial work has already been referred to Schindler, as Faith has said, and they have come out, and we are waiting to hear if they're going to do everything that the consultant from VDA recommended. And that takes care of the safety issues. The big money is coming next, as in terms of the administration part of the contract. And we're waiting to have another meeting of the task group, which I think you will hear about. Hasn't been scheduled yet, I don't think. Faith or Carol is looking over all the background material, and she's getting up to speed. But the sense of the meeting was that we probably don't have to go back with VDA if we're not totally happy with the report that they've written, or we don't have the full confidence that they can take care of the construction part, which is going to be very complex and very intrusive to the building residents. And I think we need to rationalize as to how we go forward, whether we want to do it with VDA and just give them the construction contract, or whether we want to, that is to say, the writing the specification for the project. They won't do the actual construction, but they will do the design for the modernization. That's the next big thing that has to be decided. And if there are any questions about how this is going to affect us, I think before we close out with VDA, we should pose any other questions, which they may or may not answer because it's not within their scope. And so if it's not within their scope, I suggest, and we do have questions from them, we have them on a time and material basis until such time as we're satisfied we're ready to go for the design part of the job.
If we don't use VDA in the design aspect, what are our alternatives on that? Look for another one or look to Schindler?
Well, we have, I think, the short list of the people that are in this business of doing modernization design. And I had the feeling that we have enough information at this point to prepare a request for proposal from the same list of consultants. And some of these companies have already given us a preliminary idea of what the design phase would cost. We don't have to depend upon that. I think we would go back out with another RFP and say, would you like to give us a bid on the design phase and drawing up the specifications? We can draw that up and send it back out. But before we do, I think we should have VDA give us all the preliminary information that we might need. And there may not be room in the RFP that they bought onto for the certain amount of money. But if we need to, we're at the stage now where we might need some additional help from a consultant on how to draw up the RFP for the design phase.
Another question along those lines, and that is, do we need to do the whole thing all at one time, or do we want to break it up into smaller projects?
Well, the VDA report says no. It says if you try to chop it up into 3 separate projects for the construction, that there are 3 main reasons why they said that was not a good idea. My feeling is it's big enough, since we have 3 elevators to do, is that we will only pay progress billing in it. And in effect, you will have it, each of the elevators will get treated in turn, but they don't like the idea of having 3 separate contracts because of the difference in the way that the contractor may buy it out when he builds it. You'll have some incompatibilities, in other words, for one thing. And if you read through the VDA report, they make that clear.
They appear to be suggesting that it'll take several months to do each elevator. So this project could stretch out over 1.5 years or so once we start.
That's true.
Yes, so in other words, for 1.5 years, it takes about 6 months per cab. So for 1.5 years, you're going to be down 1 elevator. It's going to be a pretty serious project, so.
Right now, though, we need to get it all all the stuff up that VDA wrote up that would be easy to fix right now.
Yep, that's into Schindler.
That's on its way. That we're waiting to hear back from Schindler whether they're going to do everything that they said was immediate.
Okay.
Quick question, the items that the VDA said were remedial that should be addressed now, are these items that Schindler should have been reviewing and looking at and telling our building, I think this needs to be fixed? You know, it's like VDA has said we have these, you know, several problems in each elevator, but because I don't know the answer, has Schindler brought these issues to our attention?
VDA made the statement that all of the remedial work should be covered by our current contract. Now, they could be wrong, but we're still waiting for Schindler to come back and say, yeah, we're going to do it all, or we have done it all.
We had a technician out yesterday, and they cleaned the pits and looked at a few things, and they're going back to talk to their other mechanic and their supervisor about what he found yesterday also. So right now, go ahead, Faith.
Well, I was going to say, when the guy was here either last week or the week before last, I specifically asked him that question, Ken, maybe not quite as polished as yours, but I asked him, you know, why is it that we're having to bring this stuff to you?
Exactly.
And right. And so we're on your wavelength, and we were assured that the items that were on the list were not safety measures, you know, that would that are actual mechanical breakdowns. He further used the spring, something there was in one of the reports about a spring. And he said, you know, that is an engineer's opinion. We at Schindler have done our research, and the spring that is mentioned in this report is just fine. And he went on to explain, you know, the pressure per square inch and the braking and how the spring works with the braking and all of that. Well, so to summarize, based on what the mechanical rep from Schindler said, I was comfortable that they have been maintaining the elevators and that the items on this list were kind of like checkpoints that an engineer would go to, but he did not, our mechanic did not feel that they were deficiencies.
Well, when we get the answer back from Schindler, what we should do if we're unhappy with any of the responses is to run them back by VDA.
Deal.
There you go.
I'll go for that.
Yep. Anybody else got anything else on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to read on the first page in the VDA's report. It says VDA's maintain conditions / quality control survey and analysis performed on March 24th indicates the vertical transportation systems in this property are properly maintained with minor deficiencies noted for corrective action under the scheduled preventive maintenance program. So they're minor deficiencies. They feel like they've been properly maintained. And like Faith said, it's nothing related to safety issues. So just want to throw that in there.
That's a good point, Brian. Thank you.
Faith, has the schedule for the next task force meeting been set yet?
I haven't done that that invite yet, but it's for Tuesday. Tuesday the 19th.
Yeah, I think that's when it is, Faith.
Yep. I have my notes and I'll get that out.
19th of what? May?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you need to be on that, Tom.
I know. Well, the last time I gave me the notice too late because I was I'm taking college courses, so I'm studying on certain days.
What are you taking, real estate courses?
No,
You want to sell real estate?
I'm taking quantum finance.
Wow.
Yes,
Trying to get my master's.
the last meeting is when Carol and the committee and the working group, the task force set this date.
No, the 19th, I got that 19th of May, that's fine. Okay. What else we got? Anything on there? Okay, let's go on to the air balancing. How are we doing on that?
We're balanced, aren't we?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, that was actually for discussion only. Was there any question about the materials submitted?
If you read their report,
I
everything
did.
looks wonderful.
Yeah, I know. I
Everything's
went through some of
completed.
the, I have the formula for some of that stuff and it will come out all right. I don't know if anybody else has got anything to say. Good to me.
I hope these didn't do the results from the desk.
Okay. All right, moving right along then, the next set of materials would be the printed materials that were placed under your door this morning that were emailed yesterday afternoon. Specifically, we reworded, thank you, Ken, for your help. Reworded the air and temp humidity loggers motion or resolution worksheet, because unfortunately the technology working group may have mentioned it, but they didn't make any recommendations. They may have had a short conversation, but they didn't make any recommendations. So I noted that in error. But basically, just to set up for the background, the data for the corridor temperature and humidity can be logged at the duct and measures the output levels through our EMS, electronic maintenance monitoring system. However, this does not give the air temperature and humidity levels for the corridors. In other words, but when you're in the middle of the corridor, we don't know what the air feels like on our skin. And that's what we're trying to get these loggers installed to help us with that. To better measure these readings, we are proposing to have temperature and humidity loggers installed on every floor between the two zones, which is the area that lies between the vents. So kind of where the building is split is the area in which we would like to put these loggers. The budget on that, we would like to go ahead, if this can get approved now, to tie it in with this full HVAC project and log it in under reserves as part of the HVAC project. We recommend that the building engineer's endorsement of the equipment presentation be approved and forwarded as prepared by James Baden, our assistant engineer. Technology working group met on the 9th. Again, they may have mentioned it in conversation. I interpreted that they had made a recommendation and I was not correct about that. So I apologize. That's why we had to retype the motion. But just to read the motion so you can hear it, I move to recommend that the board authorize and appropriate funds to not to exceed $3,000 for the purchase of 22 on-set HOBOMX 1101 Bluetooth low energy temperature / relative humidity data loggers at $135 per unit. They will be installed in-house by Brian and James. So no labor costs. We're only asking that the committee, the BFC committee recommend that the board give us the money. Any
This is Bill Johnson. Tom Black's computer has failed and I am carrying on his behalf.
Thank you.
The documentation on this recommendation is very adequate, I thought, for the amount of money. I think it's a necessary thing because of all the complaints that we get from about temperatures in the hallway. And if we can keep control of that, I think this is probably money well spent. Does the rest of the committee want to weigh in on this?
Just one comment from me. In the past, we had a lot of complaints about the temperatures in the hallways, but with the new system that we have, the new HVAC system, the temperature is not cycling off and on with blowing cold air in the wintertime and hot air in the summer. So we don't have that problem any longer. And the question is, do we really have a problem that people will be complaining now? I guess I don't have any problem with doing it, but you know. You got any comments, Brian?
Well, we don't have any way to see what the hallway temperature is right now, other than using a handheld infrared.
Yeah.
As I looked through the information that was put together here, and I thought it was good, it mentioned that the temperature when it leaves the HVAC units, that's going to be one temperature, but as it filters down through the different floors, those temperatures would be changing from when it leaves the HVAC units, and in this way, the engineers would be able to monitor what the temperatures were on the floor and then make adjustments from that point on. Is that correct, Brian?
That's correct, Ken.
Okay.
The purpose of this is so that we can actually get an entire global picture of the building. Right now, the EMS system that we have in the penthouse only gives us a readout once it leaves the units on the rooftop. Otherwise, we're using an IR thermometer in the hallways, which is not a completely accurate picture. In this way, we can get a picture that I can put out graphs for you of what the building is doing on a floor at a particular time. So if anybody does say something, there'll be some documentation that we can pull to verify whether the temperature in that area of the building is different from the rest or not.
This is cheap enough that I really don't have any big problem with doing it, other than I'd like to say that in the past, there was cold air blowing because down one or more of the ducts because of the way it cycled off and on. And that's not the case any longer.
That's correct, Charlie. The new system actually does a better job of tempering the outside air before it comes into the building.
Will be minor, but I don't have any problem with buying the sensors because I know you're going to get questions about it's too hot or too cold.
Well, in addition, Charlie, in addition to what James and you had said, these have a visible readout on them. So if any of the residents are tending to complain, they can go out in the hallway themselves and see what the temperature actually is.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to wait. We don't have to wait for the engineers to come up and take a reading on it.
And you'll be sure that some of them will say it's too hot or too cold.
Yes, that's right. That's true.
And it might help us save a little bit of energy.
My only question is, if there is a hotter or cooler corridor, what are you going to do about it? We don't have any way of changing the system, do we? Maybe we do.
So by having this information, we'll be able to adjust the output temperatures of the system on the roof and or change the outflow air on each particular floor at the register.
So there is something you can do about it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And this is
Okay.
a simple solution workaround versus what a larger commercial building would have, where they would have variable air valves that would actually be tied into the system. This is just a low cost way of us to get a good idea of what the building's actually doing.
Okay, thank you. Then it was just a comment, so thank you, you've answered it.
Are we ready?
Can I have just a question?
I think we need a motion from a member of the committee for the committee's action. Do we have a
Bill, can I
motion?
make
Tom
one last
has a-
question?
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I don't know enough about this to ask an intelligent question, so I'll ask an unintelligent question. If one of these components fail, what type of warranty do these components come with? Or is that basically not
I'll have to
a
check with the manufacturer.
manufacturer?
It's a $150 device. You get the warranty the same as you would get with, you know, a $150 device.
So the maintenance for the item or the components falls to us?
It's, well, it doesn't have any maintenance associated with it. If it fails, you replace it.
Yeah, it's $135. It's a cheapie.
No, I get that. I just, you know, things break down, and sometimes they break down for a reason, and sometimes maybe it's because of the configuration of the items in question. I just raised the issue.
I appreciate the question. It's a very valid point. The only thing beyond keeping an eye on whether they're working or not is making sure there's a battery in them. And if it ultimately fails at that point, we just replace the one particular item.
Okay, thank you.
You get a battery failure icon on your screen for that case, wouldn't you?
I believe so, yes.
Probably, yeah. Or it'll be,
And they're just installed on the, on a wall, like near the ceiling or halfway down, or whereabouts would they be installed?
Probably with double-sided tape.
Okay. I think we need a motion from a member of the committee to go forward with the resolution, and a second to that.
Well, I would make the motion to go forward with spending this funds of $3,000 on these Bluetooth energy temperature relative humidity data logger.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next item.
that's the big one. This is the party room sound system. And I just want to thank both Jack and James. You guys, they basically spoon fed me this information and helped and basically just typed up the motion. So I am really in your debt. Thank you so much. But the background for this, the data, oh, wrong one, sorry. There we go. I was going to go over the corridor loggers again, but I think we've done that. Okay, the background for this, the technology working group was asked to look into what is needed to fix/upgrade the party room audio system. We met with Sam Allaire at Riverview, and he showed us the setup there. He shared the system components with us. Based upon his information, we priced out the components on his list, excluding items that we didn't need, i.e. equipment rack and etc. At this point, we will purchase the items listed from the multiple vendors to obtain the best prices possible. We've not submitted any items on the original list from Sam. Riverview used an installer for both purchase and installation. Sam indicated that the total cost for this was about $20,000 to $22,000. The technology working group believed that this is too expensive and proposed installing the equipment itself. James developed a schematic for all of us to use, and that is attached. On April 30th, we met with local Shure dealer who reviewed our current setup and equipment list. He indicated in an email prior to the visit that he could purchase the Shure equipment with better discounts. I guess, you know, corporate accounts do get a good deal sometimes. We also asked him if he would need permits from Loudoun County, and he indicated that since he would not be doing an electrical installation, that he would not need county permits. I'm hoping that this vendor will provide us with a quote for equipment and installation before May 7th. Attached are 3 documents that detail this information. In our component list, we have not included the system rack housing because we already have that. We did not include the PTZ camera for video conferencing. After discussions with Bert and others, we elected to have 12 wireless mics and 2 8-channel audio mixers.
Is
The
that on
budget for
list?
that,
Are those items on the list?
they should be. Are they, James and Jack?
Yes, they're on the list.
Yeah. Bill, this is what the list looks like. There are 15 line items. And they do break it out pretty well. But I don't see 8. You want 12?
If you looked at the 8-channel mixers, there's 2 of them included. So it's like $600 and it came out to whatever. So there's 2.
Okay.
Everything else is like showing 1 except for mics that show 12.
Okay.
And this is Jerry, and I have one question. Is this in addition to what we did several years ago, maybe 2 years ago? So we're going to use this, we're not going to take out all the stuff that we did a couple years ago. This is in addition to?
No, this is a replacement of.
So we're taking out that stuff that's like 2 years old.
Because
I mean, if it's not working right, we need
not
to.
working.
So
Well,
can I
then
ask-
it kind of it is kind of like the only analogy that I have to offer is it's like putting a patch on an old piece of material. You've got your current system is the threadbare material, and you're trying to patch it with this new stuff. It's better to just
Faith?
replace it.
Faith, may I make a point? I agree that we do need this system replaced, and the solution posed is an excellent solution. But the purpose of replacing what we have now doesn't seem to be addressed. The old system broke, and we at the time found out that we had spent the money for that system, and we never had a maintenance agreement. So we never had anybody to call to come fix if something failed. My question is the vendor, the Shure dealer that we're talking about, can they provide some sort of maintenance agreement in addition to what we're going to put in?
Yes.
You should have gotten a new email yesterday that included a quote from that dealer. And there was also a line in there from him where he said that they could quote a maintenance contract on a 6-month basis.
James, can you can you email me that again? Because I don't think I received.
I put it under your door this morning, Tom.
Oh, okay. So that was part of the,
Correct.
okay.
Here's
So
what it looks like.
What,
See it?
I'm looking.
There's no actual numbers for the maintenance agreement. They could do it if we wanted it.
I think we do want it, don't you? I mean, the system that we're replacing is less than 3 years old, and it failed.
It really depends on who installs. If our guys are installing, that's a different situation.
Well, I think, again, we're missing the point here. The reason for the replacement of the system that we now have is because we didn't have a maintenance agreement for somebody to come and provide assistance to us.
No,
I completely agree.
Why would we want to put ourselves in the same situation?
we unfortunately didn't buy a good system.
Well, I don't know that we at the time were assured that this was a state-of-the-art system. I think that was a point that you had made, that it was, it was coming with new microphones and everybody was going to be able to participate more clearly at the meetings and be heard more clearly at the meetings. And it failed. And there's no guarantee in life that anything that we install can't fail. I think we need a maintenance agreement. And I think that it's something that we can't overlook. Otherwise, we're just committing the same mistake again.
If I may,
We can get we can get it.
The quote from the local shore representative, to install and, purchase and install the equipment is under $12,000. To just purchase the equipment and have us install it in-house is a little under $9,000. So my opinion, and you guys as the committee need to make this decision, is to go with this local representative and have them install the system. And we can figure out what the maintenance cost going forward will be and budget accordingly for that.
That makes sense to me.
Well,
I can support that theory. I know that if we go ahead and, no matter who we pick, if we let them install it, one, their work already comes with a warranty, and they will likely give us a better deal on a maintenance agreement.
I agree.
there are two different kinds of warranty that I think we're talking about. One of them has to do with the integrity of the individual component, which I have no doubt that they will stand behind. But our long-term problems has been that we have inadequate system integration so that all the components work together well. And we need some assurance that if Shure steps into it, that they will be responsible for the system integration in addition to just connecting the stuff up. And if the warranty does not express system integration, it's not really valid for what we want. And we can't go back to the rest of the residents and say, we're going to fix the sound system again, and the new system doesn't work as well as what we already have. Anybody?
Bill, to read from the email from the gentleman, it said he did not include any kind of maintenance package. If it's desired, we can work out a reasonable agreement to come in maybe every 6 months or so, refresh the programming and deal with any issues, etc. So I think they're pretty much guaranteeing that they'll help take care of the system for as long as we want them to. And that means if it breaks in the middle of something, we call them up and they can have somebody out same day or next day.
Just a comment. When we did the existing system, we decided that we wanted to have the vendor do the installation, which he did. And that was from Making Music. And now we're going to Breaking Ground. And we're not going to do it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, well, we're now at the last item on the sound
bless you.
system.
Good
And
timing, Tom.
I know you're on the sound system about $8,100 or $11,000.
well, it depends upon which version you buy.
Yes, that's the whole key. Now, we went through this about 3 or 4 years ago, and I submitted a bid from another company, and it was disapproved, and it would have gave us all the stuff that we had here, but mine was a little more expensive than the ones that they picked. And now we got to go back and buy all this stuff all over again. So my suggestion is that we go with the lesser of the evils here.
I don't know. We got hit with an awful lot of technical information too quickly for us to digest at this committee meeting.
I agree.
I would suggest we ought to table this to the next meeting, and that gives us an opportunity to go over what we've been given just yesterday.
Can I make a suggestion that in addition to that, we also get the information from the dealer as to what specifics he would provide in, warranting the parts and labor of the equipment?
I agree. We need to look this over more.
On whatever warranty he will provide, that he said he would provide, the word system integration satisfaction should be in there. And we will have an acceptance period where we determine that we are getting what we really need, and the general satisfaction of the residents will be reflected.
I agree. We need to We need to look this over
I move that
real
we,
good.
I think we need to table this till the next meeting.
I agree. I agree. Let's table that until the next meeting.
What other information are you looking for besides warranties as far as system integration? So that all the information that you're looking for to make a decision will be provided. So come the next month, we don't turn around and say, well, we need a little bit more information. Or would you rather maybe have the guy come in so so you could talk to him and ask your questions before we have a meeting next month?
But we certainly need a copy of the warranty that they're going to offer if they're going to be responsible for putting it all together and it works well.
What else?
There may be some other questions once people get an opportunity to look at the background that we've been given, because we've had less than 24 hours to look at it all.
That's right. I like to look everything over here before we even make a big decision on which one we want. So,
have any of these vendors been out to physically look at what we need?
Yes.
Yes, the vendor that you have the information from, the $11,700 quote, was actually in the building last week, took a look at what we currently have, and we talked about what it is that we want, and that's where you got the quote that came up.
Thank you.
Well, let me ask you this question. If they agreed to come out, and I believe they said if there was additional questions, they would come out to answer any of our questions. We could make an appointment for them to come out to our building, had a meeting. We could have a Zoom meeting. Anybody in this committee could be able to sit in on that, ask the questions, so we have everything taken care of before the next meeting. From what I understand, these people, they live in Leesburg, so for them to come here, it's very convenient for them.
Or they could be on the Zoom meeting.
I would recommend a Zoom meeting. They have been here. They know what they're looking at, and they should be able to answer all our questions without actually being here.
Well, before we come up to the next meeting, I want to see a copy of that warranty that they're offering for system integration and everything else that they're warrantying, so that we can be satisfied. We cannot go back to the residents a third time and ask for a redo of the sound system.
That I agree. I agree to that.
So shall we table this?
Yes, let's table it till next meeting. That'll be June 4th.
And I don't think a tabling motion requires a second.
I think you're right, Bill.
I'll second.
Are you willing to have a Zoom meeting with this person before the next meeting?
Yes. Yeah. Anytime they want to set it up, that'll be fine.
But before they show up, I want to see that warranty.
That's it. That's the whole key too. See the warranty.
Jack, can you reach out to him and see what we get?
So move to table.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Are we done?
It's been tabled. You don't have to have a motion. You don't never have to have a motion to table it. All you have to do is table it. Okay, that's the end of it. Anybody got anything else to say? The residents? Any residents? Have we got any residents hooked up to this thing?
They're on YouTube, where you were to begin with.
I had one other question. I'm sorry. I wanted to go back to ask a question with the Cat 6. One of the things that Titan had on their information was if it was done in coordination with work over at Blue Ridge, there will be a $500 deduction. Is that possible, or that's not possible now?
That's off the table. They have already done theirs.
I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
Too late.
No problem.
It's too late for us.
Gotta ask.
I'd still ask.
$500 is $500.
I have, yeah, I agree, and I'm going to. I think
Thank you.
that wouldn't be, but I'd like
Okay.
to be able to award them the contract before I ask for a discount.
Yeah.
I've got one
I might-
question about one of the components. I have a question.
Always ask
about
for a
the
discount.
component. Do the microphones have a case on them that is impervious to hand sanitizer?
Don't know.
We'll have to figure that one out.
Oh, the only thing I got to say is, on the door to coming in, it says for face masks and everything. I think we need to put it on all our entranceways and doors.
It already is.
Oh, okay. Last night I went out the bottom door over here by,
Not there.
place
Not
and
on
there
the
wasn't no,
back door.
Not
there's
down
none
there?
down there.
Yeah, that unfortunately didn't have a chance to do first thing. It is definitely on my agenda to get the pet door labeled today.
Okay. Well, I was just looking for the sign that says, please put your mask on when you come in.
I had a question. Is there any reason why the community can't know the location? Not necessarily the room numbers or any of that, but the floors on which the virus has been located. I think the more information that's provided to the community, the better it would be for everybody concerned. It would make people more aware of where they need to take extra care. Doesn't have to identify people or units or anything like that, but the more information, the more transparent we are with the risks that each of us in the community is exposed to, the better off we are.
The state and county health departments are refusing to identify floors in high-rise buildings. And therefore, we want to follow the same path.
But this is a little bit of a different situation. This is a community of owners all bound together by the same agreements. It's not independent renters and lessees. I just think that it's exposes us to more risk, exposes the staff, the maids, the people that come in to do contract work. It exposes them to risk, and again, to us to liability for those people that are exposed and do get infected. It just doesn't make sense to me why that information can't be made available just to the community of residents.
We have discussed that point of view and decided against it.
Also, as a comment, this week and next week are supposed to be in our area the peak weeks for COVID-19. So I would, just as a precaution to everybody, I would, boy, be very careful what you touch coming in this building, and washing hands and everything that you know you're supposed to do, and mask.
You got that right.
Always assume that you might have it yourself and just don't show the symptoms. And that the person you're talking to or might be walking by might also be a person that has those symptoms and doesn't know it.
Information is better than assumptions. Always information better than assumptions.
Then we should put labels on everybody, and we're not doing that.
That's going to be labeled. I'm just asking for the information.
Just to give you a little bit of information on the.
How many people have been in? How many people have been in stores lately, and then come home and then change your clothes and just walk around in your house with the clothes that you went into the store? There's a difference right there. You should always change your clothes when you go to the store and come back home.
And wash your hands again and
And
again.
wash your hands. Yeah, always.
Maintenance and housekeeping have been tasked to pick up the trash from those units. I didn't know if anybody knew that.
No, that's what it is.
So they
put it outside the unit.
Some of the people, some of the maintenance people, some of the mates were unaware of the information that was provided about infections that were located this week.
Oh, are the maids cleaning out the elevators periodically during the day with disinfect?
Yeah, they do a real good job of that.
Yeah. I don't take the elevators. I use the stairs all the time, so I don't know. Of course, if
On a different subject, Jack, since you're a member of the tech working group down at the clubhouse, you want to report a little bit of where we stand in terms of getting a campus-wide Comcast thing going?
And you caught me off guard there, Bert. Where we are with it, I know I don't have enough information to provide an update on the campus-wide. I know that Sam Allaire is the one leading the charge on that, and we, unfortunately, Riverbend is sort of out there. We're a outlier in terms of what the group, as all the other buildings, can do because of our contracts. So we're sort of out there we're sort of just out there.
Well, our contract is up in about a year, and actually a little less than a year, and so is, I think, Blue Ridge. They're a little quicker than we are. I think ours is up in January and theirs is up in December. We need to resolve this with Comcast, and we'll be working on that in the next while so we can have as many channels on our equipment down in the room downstairs as the others do. And ultimately, the goal is to have, I believe, four channels total, which includes the door video monitoring as well as three others. Two of those would be dedicated towards being able to project on your TV the items that are on our TVs in the lobby, if you choose to do it, to view those two points of information in the lobby, to do it on your TV. The fourth one would be to allow us to eventually view committee meetings and board meetings on the channel. But that's years down the road yet, but we're looking at the possibilities as we go along and discussing what we need to do. And we're trying to figure out what Riverbend has to do that the others don't have to do, so we can be even with them.
And Bert, with this new sound system that the technology working group is proposing, would that tie in with being able to stream live?
Well, it's a sound system. It's not a video system. So it doesn't really make any sense to do it that way. However, LWVA has purchased a Sling video system, and that would be capable of making something like that happen.
Okay. So what I'm trying to help the technology working group in showing the building facilities that so this new sound system will work not only just to be in the room, but will also help when we're starting to video conference our live meetings when we get back to after COVID.
You know more about that than I do.
Certainly what it'll do is provide better, right now when we have a meeting in the party room, a board meeting or a committee meeting, the audio breaks up and it's difficult. So this would obviously assist in that. But it's not really having anything to do with streaming to a fourth Comcast channel.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
So just point of clarification, Ms. Jerry.
Say what?
All of the buildings have Comcast now, except that our contracts expire at different times, as I'm understanding it?
That's right.
Agreement?
All of the contracts, well, I think Riverview and Magnolias have a contract that they bought together when they lost Open Band as their primary source. And so they did the negotiating together. So those two buildings are operating under the same contract. Those two associations, I should say. Magnolia's does have issues in terms of having 3 buildings involved, so it complicates things a bit for them. Potomac Ridge, Blue Ridge, and Riverbend all have different contracts. And we want to merge them all with the idea that if we do that, we can not only benefit in terms of campus-wide communication, but we can benefit in terms of cost. Bulk costs can lower for Comcast services or Verizon services. We're interviewing both, and to see how we can reduce costs in our cable and internet contract.
Okay. I guess my only other question is, if Comcast has them all, I would think that they would want to make them all uniform and say to the people who's, like our contract in Riverview, you said is going to expire in about a year. Why don't they just rewrite the whole thing and put us in with the rest of the basket, so to speak?
That's the goal. That's the goal.
But we have to wait a year. They're not going to break the contracts with us.
No, we don't have to. I'm just pointing that out that, in fact, the technology working group of Sam Allaire, particularly, who's managing this for the group, has indicated that he thought timing would be just about the same. By the time we get all of our things figured out and everything and ready to sign a new bulk contract for everybody, be close to the time when Riverbend and Blue Ridge's contracts will be up. And what we would probably do, and I think Comcast would be totally willing to do that, is to extend our contract on a month-to-month basis until the final contract is complete.
Oh, okay. That you've answered the question. Thank you.
I'm back again.
Hey, Tom.
This computer is really acting up, and this is a brand new one. Anyway, anybody else got anything to say?
I also will update you on the clubhouse opening. Opening the clubhouse. The board is putting together a member from each of the buildings to meet down or to get together and try to determine, when the governor says we can open up things a little bit more, how we can address that in the clubhouse. What kind of requirements are we going to need in order to make access and use parts of the clubhouse? I will also say, on a separate subject, at the clubhouse, we are virtually done. This coming week, it'll be complete. The installation of a fob entry system for the clubhouse, along with CCTV cameras. We will be able to, and they will work with our current fob, so we don't have to carry a separate fob. And we will then go down, if we want access after hours, and the hours are likely to be from 5 in the morning till 12 midnight. If we want access after normal hours, like 9 till 5, we will need to have access on our fobs. So we will go down and register our fobs, and it will be indicated what areas of the clubhouse that we'll want to have access to. Okay.
That's great.
You lost Tom again.
We got Bill?
Yeah. On Tom's behalf, I would suggest that we adjourn the meeting. Do I have any seconds?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, we're done.
Guys, have a great day. Be careful.
Thank you.
Thank you.